Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be looking at some excerpts from Plato's Republic. Specifically, we're going to be focusing on a fascinating section where Socrates, the main character, lays out his vision for the ideal guardians of a city. Get ready to uncover what Socrates thinks makes the best guardians, how they should be educated, and the lifestyle they should lead. There are some surprising ideas ahead.
Yeah. Socrates' ideas about guardians are a really thought-provoking exploration of leadership, education, and even lifestyle choices.
And so he starts off by comparing these guardians to athletes. He sees them as competing in the most important competition of all, protecting the city. But there's a twist. He's actually critical of the typical athlete's diet.
Socrates points out that a rich diet makes athletes prone to sleepiness and illness. He believes guardians need a simpler diet, something more like what a soldier would eat, to stay alert and resilient.
He even uses examples from Homer's heroes to support this idea. He points out that they didn't eat fish even when they were near the sea, opting for roasted foods for practicality.
Yeah. That's interesting. It connects to a lot of modern ideas about athletic training and nutrition. We still debate the best dietary approaches for optimal performance. And Socrates was already thinking about this centuries ago.
It's like he was ahead of his time in a way. But for Socrates, it wasn't just about physical strength. He believed that music and poetry played a crucial role in the education of a guardian. And this is where things get really interesting.
He actually connects this musical and poetic education directly to physical training. Socrates argues that too much variety and luxury, whether in food or music, can lead to indiscipline. And he believes that overindulgence in anything leads to disease of both the body and soul.
And he uses some pretty striking examples to illustrate this point. He likens luxurious excess to things like Sicilian cuisine and even Corinthian girlfriends. It certainly paints a pretty vivid picture.
Yeah, definitely. But his point is that simplicity in both diet and artistic exposure cultivates self-discipline in the soul and health in the body. For Socrates, it's all about balance and moderation.
This concept of balance and moderation really comes through in how Socrates views justice and medicine as well. He makes a bold statement when he suggests that a proliferation of law courts and clinics is a symptom of a failing education system.
That's a provocative claim. He's essentially arguing that needing to rely on systems of law and medicine points to a lack of inner virtue and self-reliance. True justice, for Socrates, comes from within.
He even criticizes those who are proud of their ability to use the law for personal gain. It seems like he's saying that justice should be about fairness and right action, not about manipulating the system.
Yeah. And his critique extends to medicine as well. Think about how often we seek medical attention for illnesses that stem from our lifestyle choices. Socrates would argue that a good education should teach us how to live in a way that minimizes our need for doctors in the first place.
He goes so far as to criticize the followers of Asclepius, the Greek god of healing, for focusing on prolonging the lives of the chronically ill instead of promoting a healthy lifestyle.
And he uses this example of a carpenter who falls ill. The carpenter just wants a quick fix so he can get back to work. He sees no value in prolonged medical treatment if it means neglecting his duties.
This example really highlights the importance Socrates places on fulfilling one's role in society. He likely saw the guardian's health as a matter of public importance, essential for them to carry out their duties effectively.
It definitely raises a lot of questions. Is he placing too much emphasis on personal responsibility and not enough on societal support? Where does the balance lie between individual choices and the systems we have in place?
It's a complex issue for sure,
Yeah.
but Socrates definitely challenges us to think about it. Now, when it comes to the best kind of doctor and the best kind of judge, Socrates has some surprising views. He says the best doctors are those who have experience with a wide range of diseases, ideally even having suffered from illnesses themselves.
His reasoning here is fascinating. He believes that this kind of experience fosters a deeper understanding of the human condition, allowing doctors to use their minds, not just their technical skills, to treat patients. It's about empathy and insight as much as medical knowledge.
But when it comes to judges, he has a completely different perspective. The best judges, according to Socrates, are those who haven't been exposed to much wrongdoing in their youth. They learn about injustice theoretically, not through direct experience.
Socrates argues that evil can't understand good, but good with education can understand both. This leads him to believe that the ideal judge is almost a late bloomer when it comes to understanding injustice. They haven't been tainted by direct contact with evil, which allows them to approach matters of justice with a more objective and untainted perspective.
Now, this brings us to one of the most controversial aspects of Socrates' ideal city, the noble lie. He proposes that a grand myth should be told to all citizens, even the rulers, to promote unity and loyalty.
This myth, according to Socrates, should claim that people are born from the earth with different metals mixed in their souls: gold for rulers, silver for auxiliaries, and iron and bronze for workers.
It sounds almost like a cosmic caste system, designed to explain and justify the social hierarchy within the city.
Exactly. And the rulers, with their gold souls, are tasked with ensuring that the wrong metal doesn't rise to power, which would supposedly lead to the city's downfall. It's a clever way to ensure social cohesion and to emphasize the importance of everyone fulfilling their designated role.
It's undoubtedly a powerful way to create a shared narrative and promote social stability, even if it's based on a fabrication. But it does make you think about the ethical implications. Can a lie, even one intended for a good purpose, ever truly be justified?
That's a question for each of us to ponder. Socrates was clearly aware of the potential for corruption among the guardians, even with this noble lie in place. He even compares them to sheepdogs, tasked with protecting the flock, not harming it. This leads him to advocate for a very specific lifestyle for the guardians, one designed to minimize the risk of them becoming corrupted.
He outlines some pretty radical ideas. No private property beyond the essentials, communal living, and a strict ban on handling gold and silver. It's a Spartan existence, stripped of the luxuries and temptations that he believes could lead them astray.
Socrates' intention is clear. He wants to prevent the guardians from becoming hostile masters to the citizens they're meant to protect. By removing the allure of wealth and personal gain, he believes they can remain focused on their duty.
It seems he was trying to create a system where the Guardian's sole focus was the well-being of the city, but this extreme approach definitely raises some questions.
It does. Is such a lifestyle even sustainable in the long term? And can you truly eliminate the potential for corruption simply by controlling external factors? No private property, communal living. It's a stark contrast to the lavish lifestyles we often associate with leadership today.
It definitely makes you wonder if Socrates is being completely serious with these proposals or if there's an element of satire woven in.
Yeah, that's a question scholars have debated for centuries. It's possible he's using this extreme example to highlight the tension between pursuing individual wealth and serving the common good.
It's like he's presenting a thought experiment, asking us to consider what true leadership would look like if it wasn't motivated by material gain.
Precisely. By stripping away these external markers of status and wealth, Socrates forces us to confront the core qualities that should define true leadership. Things like wisdom, courage, and a dedication to the city's well-being.
But could such a system ever actually work? Wouldn't there be constant resentment from the other classes who don't enjoy these restrictions?
That's a valid point. And it brings us back to the concept of the noble lie. Remember, this myth of people being born with different metals in their souls is meant to justify why some are destined to rule and others to be ruled.
But what happens when those in the lower classes start questioning the validity of that myth? How do you maintain social order if people don't believe in the foundation upon which the system is built?
That's where the Guardians' rigorous education comes in. They're trained not only as warriors, but also as philosophers. They need to be able to defend the system with reason and persuasion, convincing the populace that their designated role is for the greater good.
Socrates is essentially relying on the power of education to maintain social stability. He believes that a well-educated populace will accept their place in society, even if it means sacrificing personal wealth and freedom.
Yeah, he's putting a lot of faith in both the Guardians' ability to persuade and the citizens' willingness to accept this hierarchical structure. But it still raises questions about individual freedom and the potential for abuse within such a system.
Let's shift our focus to the guardians themselves for a moment. Even if we accept the premise that this system could work, wouldn't the guardians themselves eventually tire of this austere existence? Wouldn't they crave the pleasures they're denied?
It's certainly a risk, but Socrates believes that true happiness doesn't lie in material possessions or fleeting pleasures, but in the pursuit of virtue and knowledge. He argues that the guardians, by dedicating their lives to this higher purpose, will find fulfillment that transcends material desires.
It's a noble ideal. But is it humanly possible to live up to? We're all susceptible to temptation in some form or another. How can we be sure that even the most carefully selected and trained guardians wouldn't eventually succumb to the allure of power and wealth?
Socrates acknowledges this challenge. That's why he stresses the importance of constant vigilance, both on the part of the guardians themselves and on the part of society as a whole. He outlines a series of tests and challenges designed to weed out those who are susceptible to corruption.
So it's not a one-time selection process. It's an ongoing evaluation to ensure the guardians maintain their integrity and commitment to the common good.
Exactly. It's a system of checks and balances designed to mitigate the risks inherent in any power structure. But this raises another important question. Who gets to decide what constitutes virtue and knowledge? Is there a danger of those in power defining these concepts in a way that benefits their position?
It's a valid concern. Any system that relies on a select group to define and uphold moral standards is susceptible to bias and abuse. This brings us back to the potential flaws in Socrates' vision. He seems to place a lot of trust in the inherent goodness of human nature, particularly those selected to be guardians.
And, as we know from history, even those with the best intentions can be corrupted by power. The question remains, can we ever truly create a system that guarantees just and wise leadership? Or will we always be grappling with human fallibility no matter how carefully we construct our institutions?
It's a sobering thought. Plato's Republic seems to suggest that creating a truly just society is an ongoing challenge, not a destination we can ever fully reach.
Yeah, it highlights the importance of critical thinking and active citizenship. We can't blindly trust those in power, even if they appear well-intentioned. We have a responsibility to engage in dialogue, question assumptions, and hold our leaders accountable.
It seems like one of the key takeaways from this deep dive is that we can't simply admire the ideals Socrates lays out. We need to engage with them critically, considering their potential pitfalls and adapting them to the complexities of the modern world.
Exactly. The goal isn't to recreate Plato's ideal city in its entirety, but rather to extract the valuable insights it offers and apply them thoughtfully to our own challenges and aspirations.
We've covered a lot of ground in this discussion, but there's still much more to explore. What are your thoughts so far? Are any of Socrates' ideas resonating with you?
What's fascinating to me is how many of these questions about leadership, justice, and the role of the state are still relevant today, even after centuries.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into Plato's Republic. We've been exploring Socrates' vision for the ideal guardians, delving into their unique education, their austere lifestyle, and even the ethically ambiguous noble lie. It's been quite a journey.
It really has. And what strikes me is how these ideas, despite being centuries old, continue to resonate and influence thinkers and leaders today.
Let's revisit that noble lie for a moment. The idea of using deception, even for a supposedly noble purpose, is unsettling, to say the least.
It is. However, it does compel us to consider the role that myths and ideologies play in shaping societal beliefs and in maintaining order, even in the modern world. Think about how often narratives, even if not literally true, are used to promote social cohesion, or even to justify existing power structures.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder if there are noble lies operating in our own societies. Perhaps not as overt as Plato's version, but subtle narratives that influence our understanding of how the world works.
It's a question worth pondering. But moving beyond the lie itself, let's consider Socrates' emphasis on education, a concept that has had a profound and lasting impact. His belief that a well-educated populace is crucial for a just and stable society, that continues to shape our approaches to education to this day.
And Socrates wasn't just talking about rote memorization. He believed in the power of critical thinking, philosophical inquiry, and cultivating a genuine love of learning.
Exactly. He saw education as a transformative process, one that shapes not only the mind, but also the character and moral compass of individuals.
This brings us to an interesting point. How do Socrates' ideas about the guardian's lifestyle, extreme as they might seem, connect to contemporary discussions about leadership and public service?
There's a growing recognition that leaders, ideally, should be driven by a sense of duty and service, not by personal gain or the accumulation of wealth. While Socrates' vision might be unrealistic in its pure form, it does offer a potent critique of how greed and self-interest can corrupt those in positions of power.
It challenges us to think about the sacrifices we're willing to make for the common good, and about how we can create systems that encourage and reward ethical leadership.
These are questions that every society must grapple with. And while Plato's Republic may not offer any definitive answers, it does provide a framework for thinking about these enduring challenges.
So as we conclude this deep dive, what does it all mean for us as individuals navigating a complex world? What are the key takeaways?
Plato's Republic, despite its age, still has the power to make us think critically about our own beliefs and values, and about the kind of society we want to live in. It reminds us that we all have a role to play in shaping the future, whether we're in positions of authority or simply engaged citizens.
It encourages us to question assumptions, to challenge injustice, and to strive for a world that is more just, more equitable, and more fulfilling for all.
Socrates envisioned a society where leadership was rooted in wisdom, virtue, and selflessness. And while attaining this vision might seem like a utopian dream, the true legacy of the Republic lies in inspiring us to continuously strive for a better world.
Perhaps perfection is unattainable, but the pursuit of a just and equitable society is a journey worth undertaking. We hope this deep dive into Plato's Republic has sparked your curiosity and inspired you to engage with these timeless ideas. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep diving deep.